Steve, a lot has been said about what Juan is today. Remember, we talked about his reference. You thought about him as a Luke Walton type of player. What kind of player can he become eventually?
Very good one. I know that. I mean, I don't have any names for you, but Luke is a good comp, and I look at him sort of as a smaller version of Draymond. He's with all due respect to Luke, he's better defensively than Luke. So I just think that Juan is very similar to Draymond. He's got a different body. He's not as strong, not as big, but plays a similar game, just kind of a step ahead of everybody else on the floor.
Steve, you've basically gone from a 7-footer in James to a 6'9" guy in Kavan to a 6'6" guy in Juan. What is the difference? How is Juan different for your team defense than those two guys are?
Well, he's obviously going to have tougher assignments in terms of guarding size and length. I think that would bear itself out over time. But the other night we were switching everything. He was guarding multiple people. Porzingis is usually out on the perimeter anyway as a shooter. So it was a very guard-oriented game. So he's really good, navigating all of that stuff, switches, rotations, box outs. He's just a step ahead of everybody.
Steve, Juan has shot the ball far better than he ever has at any point in his professional career. I know the sample size is small, but what do you attribute that to so far?
A ton of work. He got a lot of shots up during the layoff, and he shoots every single day when we're at our facility or on the road. So he works at it.
Steve, you mentioned sort of the anticipation that Juan has. How hard is it to sort of maintain that level of being kind of ahead of things when you're not really playing that much, when you're not getting the reps or when it's inconsistent?
I don't think it's that hard, really. I think you either see it or you don't, and he sees it. He feels it. There's just every player is different, and if you see it, if you recognize stuff, if you can anticipate, then that's not going to leave you if you're inactive for a few games or whatever. Chris, did you have a question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, by the way. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Looking at Lee, Mulder, and Toscano-Anderson, and obviously you were a great role player for the team that you played for. What are you instilling into them to say, hey, be ready when your opportunity comes? Because it seems like these guys, they play with the most confidence a lot of times. And it's situation now with COVID, they have to be ready, right? So I just want to know from you, what are you telling them as a former player as well?
I tell them to always be ready because in the NBA, your chance always comes. And one mistake that young players make is they get discouraged if they haven't played in 4 or 5 games and they stop working and they assume that they're done, that they're not going to get in. And then all of a sudden there's an injury or a trade or something and you throw them out there and they're not ready. And it's too late at that point. You can make an entire career for yourself just by staying ready and by being able to produce, even if you only get called upon a few times a year. Because coaches, every coach really has a ton of value in players who they know they can count on, whether they're in the rotation or not. That's a very difficult job, but guys who can do it really add a lot of value to their own careers.